Welcome to BizzyWebinar. This is Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb. Delighted to have you with us today as we talk about marketing personas, a unique tool to help you guide and generate content for your website, outline your marketing, and identify the target markets that matter most and how to reach those markets effectively. As we go through today, we'll go through a few general things. Of course, we'll talk about BizzyWeb, a little bit about us and who we are, what we do, but then we're going to get right into marketing personas, talk about what they are, how to create one, how to use that persona to create content and connect with your clients, and then we'll go from there with your questions. As I get into that, let me jump over briefly to share with you how to join us live today, because we have a number of folks that are connected up with us. And so if you'd like to ask us questions, the best way to do that is going to be by going to the BizzyWeb page, and if you click on Do You Know Your Best Customer, which is where a number of you are already clicked, you'll see on this page, let me refresh it, that there's an embedded video on here, and right underneath that embedded video there's a couple of things. First, if you click on YouTube here, it's going to take you into the Hangout itself. If you're logged into Google+, you'll be able to ask us questions using the Q&A tool, or you can join us live on the Hangout. We've got everyone locked out right at the moment, but you can join us and get onto the Hangout. You'll be able to chat questions to us, and we'll take those during the event. You can always go to the Google Plus page by clicking on this link right here, the one that says Google Plus. Let me highlight that, so right down there so you can see it. And then if you join us, that Google Plus page takes you to our Google Plus, and then you'll see right inside of here it says Q&A. Let me actually refresh that since we're now live. But when you look at that Q&A tool, it's going to have a little live button inside of here. And then if you click this, you'll actually be able to browse in. And when you click on that, you notice that it now says Q&A. And so if you click on that, that's the best way to ask questions during the event. So just go to google.com/plusbizyweb or plus.google.com/plusbizyweb and join us there. Click on this Q&A tool and you'll go in, or again from the BizzyWeb website you can get in there. What it looks like from the actual event page is this. If you click Start on here, which a number of folks are already viewing, you'll see that there, and you'll be able to connect with us. So that's our deal. Brief programming note, we're going through a heck of a thunderstorm right now, and I'm watching lightning strike the ground outside of the building here as I'm talking. So if the webinar goes dead, hang on, because we'll be right back as soon as all of our equipment comes back up. We usually don't have a problem with that, but just in case, so you know what's happening, that's what we'll do. All right, let's get back into the event. BizzyWeb, of course, is a web design and social media company. I'd call us online marketing in general. We do a number of amazing things, including fantastic web design. You see some examples of our favorite designs on this page. And what we do with all of our websites is we make them fully mobile responsive so that they look great on every device you're looking at it on, whether it's an iPhone or an Android or a tablet or a PC. And when we do that, we build it to be fully optimized for search engines and integrate with social media so that when you publish from a BizzyWeb-powered website, that active publishing goes out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and more, all with a single click. If you don't have a whole lot of time and you want to reach as many people as possible, talk to us today about building a website. We also help with social media setups. So here's some brilliant examples. So we think of online marketing using LinkedIn up front. Right behind that, immediately to the left, is a Google Plus page, or actually no, that's Facebook, and then there's Google Plus, and then there's Twitter. So between all of these, if you haven't updated your social accounts recently, take a look at those, because all of the big four in social media have updated their accounts very recently, and everything has kind of changed. So make sure that you're keeping up with that, and that what you're doing is matching what you're trying to reach and who you're trying to reach, and that you actually hit your marketing personas, as we'll discuss in just a moment. Speaking of, here is marketing personas. And what are those personas and what do they do? First, marketing personas help you identify the personality traits of intended audiences. these aren't profiles of existing customers. These aren't real people. They're instead representations of the best people that you know or that you'd like to work with. You're going to want to categorize them and move them into specific types of people and give them a name and kind of drill them down. The idea is to generalize the specific traits of individual types of people and help use that as a tool to help you guide your messaging when you're writing for those folks. Now, you can do this to help you guide your website, to guide your interaction, to guide the text and the imagery or videos on your website. But as we're going to speak about them today, this is using personas to help generate content for your website and your social media. As you guide that content, it outlines those traits so that you can start thinking about who they are and get into your best customers or your best leads' heads and figure out how they're going to search for you so that you can then relate that to your content and relate that to the keywords that you're using to generate that content. As you're looking to your personas and trying to generate this, there's no real magic bullet about how to create that content. Instead, what you're trying to do is just get what you know on paper. You know, a great tool for creating a marketing persona is actually setting up a whiteboard with a number of sections on it. And I'll talk about what some of those sections should be in just another slide or two. But generally, first you're going to want to interview your audience, interview your best clients, interview the people that you're trying to reach more of, and then you're going to connect with them via surveys or looking at how your best clients are using the website or using your content, figure out what patterns they're doing and what the desired traits of those folks are, and that will help you to start to outline kind of a view of a type of person. So if you have 3 different types of people that buy your product or engage with you for your service, those are the 3 different types of people that you're going to want to build a marketing persona for. You're not going to take exact people because people are all a little bit different, but instead you're going to generalize some of the common core traits of those types of people that you have in your products or that you have in your client base. Ideally, you would talk to your entire client base, but for most of us, we have several hundred or several thousand clients, and so that's not always useful. Instead, I would focus on your absolute favorites, the ones who bring in the most revenue for you, the ones who, if you could get 2 more of those every month, your complete outlook on the world would be different, the ones who would help you to get to the next level. And take that and outline who those people are. What do they like? What do they dislike? What do they love? What do they hate? What kind of links are they searching for? What kind of websites do they visit? And then outline that and help guide your connections and guide your content by knowing as much as you possibly can about them. So as you segment that, you're going to actually break these folks into those different types of people. And so you may have 30 people in your current client base that all share this common characteristic. You may want to bring that core group of 30 folks that all share that same common characteristic and kind of generalize those 30 people into one. And so when you do that, ask some specific questions. First, you're going to want to ask, how much do they or did they know about your product or service in advance? How do they shop for your product or service? What do they most like about you or about it or about the solution? And how do you uniquely meet their needs? The goal with any website isn't really to share who you are as much as engage the people that you need to connect with and get them to do what you want them to do. So when you're building a website, when you're connecting up, when you're writing content, go from their needs first. So when you're outlining these people, you're going to want to identify, what do they search for? What do they like? What don't they like? What do they hate? And then go through that and fill that out. And I've got a really great template that I'll share a link to in just a moment. Personas look something like these in here. These are examples from Smashing Magazine on August 6th. There's a great tool. If you just search Smashing Mag Personas, you'll see a really neat set of articles, a 2-parter actually on how to generate marketing personas. But in general, you're going to take a generic picture and you might find this off of PhotoPin, and we've covered PhotoPin before. If you do that, make sure that you give proper attribution. Generally, if you're using this internally only, you're not going to have any issues with copyright, but just be careful with how you grab the images. You may want to just buy one if you're going to use it across multiple segments, and there's lots of tools to do that. But take a generic picture of that person, give them a generic name, and then write down stuff like their goals, their personality traits, their demographics. How old are they? Where do they live? What do they come from? What's their background? The keywords that they might use to search for your content, or what interests them the most when they're in that buying mode. What are they likely to type, do, be? Are they likely to call you? Are they likely to connect with you? Are they going to send you a text message? Are they going to Google you? Are they going to find you on Facebook? How's that going to work? And then what are those calls to action that would be most likely to get them to take that desired action that you want them to do? I'll give you another example of some marketing personas in a moment, but that's generally kind of what a marketing persona is. So, again, you can't overcomplicate this stuff. It sounds very marketing-y to do a marketing persona, but really all you're doing is kind of outlining and identifying the key characteristics of your favorite clients, or the people that you want to have take some specific action. And you're going to group those into the types of folks that are going to do those actions and take it from there. Using personas to create content, you're going to need to identify that target persona, center on one at a time, and decide to write articles or content for that specific person. In eventuality, you may want to just move forward and connect and add another layer for a different persona if you want to have this market reach, or have a specific piece of content reach more than one type of persona. That's certainly fine, but start with one. Otherwise, you're going to muddy the connection, and certainly the more clear you can be across the board, the more likely those types of people that meet the specific needs or meet the same kind of demographics as the persona that you're working in are likely to take that next step. So as you look at your persona's characteristics, think about what motivates them. What do they need to do right this moment if they're in that buying mode, or in that mode to take whatever the desired next step is? And that might be registering for a webinar. It might be having them give you a call. It might be having them stop by your store. It might be having them buy. But whatever you want them to do, decide how you're going to get that to them and make that part of the calls to action that you give them. So give them that next step. Make sure that you have a button or a text in that piece of communication that says, in order to meet needs specific that you've specified here, here's what to do now. Click, link, call, come in today, whatever. And then as you look at it, after you know what they need to do right now, think about why they care about this and get back into it to give some more supporting information on why they should take that desired action. And then finally, as you think about that, think about how they're going to search for it to identify the keywords and the oppositional information that you need to have, as they look back and forth to you and all of your competition. What are they likely to identify with? What's likely to get them to that next step? And really, what are they going to be searching for to help them? Because you want to make sure that you have that content in your article, in your piece of content, in your Facebook post, in whatever you need to connect with them on, and make that as clear as possible. And there's a really cool template, and I'm going to actually show you this in a moment, at the Creative Companion blog. Easiest way to do this is search for persona template at Creative Companion blog. But if you don't want to Google that, certainly copy and paste this connection here, and we will help you. You just go into creativecompanion.files.wordpress.com/all that blah blah blah. I'll hang out for a second here, but easiest way again is to just Google this, because it's a really handy tool. And let me click over to this so that we can dive into it a little bit more. As you look at this, this is an easy PDF that you can connect with and just use. Again, this could be a whiteboard, but these are the types of things that you need to outline in a generic marketing persona. If you're trying to do something more specific for a specific type of client, or to get them to do something specific, maybe you've segmented your market down into 3 different types of people in a different half of your company that you haven't explored before. you're going to have this be a little bit different and have them ask for different things. But in general, all marketing personas should probably have a picture of that person so that you can understand and start to think about who that person really is. Use a realistic name. Don't use names of actual clients or colleagues. So under name, give them a name. Under descriptor, describe what this is and what their differentiation is. So they're likely to buy our product and service in this specific segment and in the next 5 months. A quote. Talk about what they're really into, what they're interested in. Just identify those 3 or 4 people. Go back to your questions that you asked them in your interviews, your best customers in your interviews, and highlight on something that really is a key differentiator for that person. And then outline really who that person is. So as you look at this, sketching out their profile, their age, location, job title, what's their socioeconomic status? Do they have kids? Do they have specific interests? Do they have hobbies? What are they most likely to integrate with? The more deep you get into a relationship or thinking about who these people are, the better you're going to be able to approach the content that they need from helpful and interesting angles. For example, if you identify that your best marketing persona for a specific type of person, for a specific group, is actually into extreme sports or mountain climbing, then having articles about mountain climbing that relate to your product or service, even if you're a plumber, might help you to reach that type of person, because they might be searching and then find your content and information because it's already something similar or interesting to them. And actually a client of ours does this really well. They've actually built their entire website as a CPA firm. They built their website to relate and to use graphical imagery that relates to extreme sports or risk-taking, because they're specifically going for young entrepreneurs that are likely to have risk-taking kind of personalities. So they're into mountain climbing or wakeboarding or surfing or getting out there and experiencing life. These aren't they're not going to have pictures of graphs and analytics on there because they're trying to identify with a specific type of person. So their marketing persona dictated that they wanted to have a more engaging and movement-oriented website. And so as they built that, they've actually seen some really great results because they're identifying with that group, and they're now developing content and personas and information that actually relates to the people they're trying to reach. So after you know who they are, then go into what their goals are. So what's that next thing that they want to do? And these could be general goals and information, or it could be very specific. It could be around the action that you want them to take, but don't forget about identifying what some of their other goals are likely to be, because again, that might give you a side door into getting them to take the action that you want. So for example, if they're butterfly collectors or if they really want to retire early, it might give you a different way to connect with your market and a different set of content that you can write to help engage them at that mode of their being. And then what's their attitude? As you look at this, what's their perception? What do they like about your company or brand? What do they like about the service that you provide? Or what are they trying to reach or serve or fill as a need by the content that you're going to be providing? And then what's the behavior that you want them to take? Do you want them to click, follow you, connect, like you, call you, stop by, buy now, register to vote, whatever it is, you need to get them to take that behavior, and you have to make sure that you're very clear in that. Again, you don't want to hit people over the head with that next action, but you're going to need to give them that next action at some point. In marketing, you want to set up the need, tell them how to identify with you and what your product or service is and what that next step is you need to take. And then as they've identified that need, as you've built that yearning for whatever you're doing, you need to give them the next step. You build up the problem, and then you offer them the solution. Let them identify with who you are, what you do, or what that solution is that you're painting the picture for, and then give them the resolution. You'll get more information by clicking here. Download our white paper to find out the 3 things that you need to know if you're doing X. Fill all of that out, and then figure out what the trends are or lifestyle pieces are that can help them to get to that next level? Is there anything outside of the actual relationship, or is there anything in popular culture or inside of the business landscape that's going to help guide their decision or help guide their next steps? So looking at trends or mind styles and how those all work can help you very much. Again, this is a very high level kind of behavior chart, but this is better than nothing, certainly, and the more you get into it, the more you're going to be able to highlight, identify, and streamline what that content is. Again, if you just Google marketing persona, you're going to find hundreds of examples of marketing personas and templates. These are just some, or this is just one of the most simple and straightforward that I've found. So as we look at this then, what is that next step? Personas need to be the types of tools, and they are just a tool to help you identify the characteristics of your audience, your prospects, or your customers. They need to help you, or they can help you identify the best content and the strategies that you need to take to reach your target markets. You don't know what you can't identify, and so if you can identify exactly the type of person that you're trying to reach and personalize that type of person into a specific unique characteristic or a specific unique identity, that helps you just to start talking to Bob the builder, or Jim the accountant, or Beverly the risk taker, and go from that next step and say, okay, well, what is Beverly really interested in? What does she need to do? What is she looking for us to do for her? And what kind of content would she be interested in? Beverly's really into gardening, so what do I need to do? Or maybe she's a skydiver, and so we need to talk about taking the plunge, or go in and scuba diving. And what's that next step? What's the thing that they're most likely to be interested in? And what's the action that we're trying to get them to take? The key thing to remember in all of this is that this marketing persona idea, it's not a panacea, it's not a magic bullet, it's a tool. And so don't fall into the trap of relying on them just to say, well, Bob probably wouldn't do this. Bob's imaginary. So remember that everyone is actually different, and you're going to need to test and measure to make sure that your marketing personas are resonating, and especially the content that you're generating for those marketing personas is helping you. Because maybe you're just a little bit off, or maybe there's something that you haven't thought about in your marketing persona for a specific type of person. And if you're finding that the messaging that you thought would engage with that type of person just isn't working, then you're going to need to take the next step and test and measure some other characteristic of that person. Or maybe go back to the drawing board and identify, well, what are we probably missing? Or we thought we knew who Bob was, but it turns out that Bob really isn't interested in that type of communication, but we know that he needs our service. So what else could we use to engage with Bob, and how else might we be able to identify the key things that would get Bob motivated to do the next step? So test, measure, and go to the next level. They say that marketing is measurement, and if you're not measuring, you're not really marketing, you're just kind of guessing. So make sure that as you build this, that you set it inside of a framework that is going to set you up for success and to be able to adjust and modify as you move forward. Just having a pretty picture of an ideal person isn't going to help you unless you're willing to actually use that and adjust and modify as necessary. So as we close out here, I'd like to connect up. Again, this is very high-level stuff, but marketing personas really aren't all that complicated. They're a tool that we use a lot with our clients, but when you build these, don't overcomplicate or think that there's too much to it, when in essence, all you need to do is identify the key steps and the key identity characteristics of the people you're trying to reach, and then start using it. So as you think about that, absolutely, this is the time to take questions. So again, if you have questions and want to talk through things, you can go into that Google Hangout. If you click on the Q&A button here, all you need is a Google identity. So if you have a Gmail account, log in with that. If you have a Google Plus account, awesome, use that. But you just need to log in and set a question. You can also drop a note into the sales@BizzyWeb.com box or give us a call at 612-424-9990 if you have an urgent need and our team can chat in. Speaking of, if you are logged into the Hangout, or if you would like to log into the Hangout, now is your time to do so. Again, if you wanted to join the Hangout, you need to click on this link right here. It's the Google Hangout link right there. If you click on that, that's going to take you into Google. You absolutely need to have a Google Plus account in order to log into the Hangout. You need to do that. And what we're going to do for the next half hour now is open it up for open Q&A, testing, questions, and tech support for our clients and friends. So if you have a specific need or an option or an item that you just haven't been able to figure out, if you have an issue with your website, if you have something that you'd like our opinion on, or just struggling with something, now is your time to get that specific bit answered by logging into the Hangout. We're going to record, or we are recording this part of the Hangout, and we make this public on our YouTube channel, but everything after I close down the broadcast portion, or the Hangout on air, which is going to end in about 4 minutes, we're going to keep that open for you, and we don't record those because a lot of times they're more personal information or more common questions or items with specific websites, and we don't need to share that publicly with the world. So, knowing that, let's go back in. And finally, if you do have questions, make sure that you hit that with us, and again, use the Q&A tool, or log into that Hangout and ask us those questions. We'd love to take your questions about marketing personas, or really anything else online marketing related at this point. In summary, as we wait for questions to come in, BizzyWeb can help you with all of these things. We do web design, and we build websites that are designed to elicit responses for specific types of people. So we'll help you guide your content, your website, your online marketing presence to grow your business. Your website needs to be mobile responsive. We believe it needs to integrate with social media to bridge and to get the word out in as many possible places as possible in as little time as possible. And we really believe that websites should help you get leads and grow your business. If your website's not doing anything, or if you haven't updated it in a few months or years, now is the time to think about taking the next step to engage your clients, and using personas is a great way to do that. We also have the best web hosting out there, so if you're on a WordPress-powered website and it wasn't developed by us, we would still love to host that for you. We have very fair rates that build in tech support, malware scanning to make sure that your site doesn't get taken over by crazy hackers or any of that other bad stuff. We do security hardening on our websites, and we help it perform better, faster, and stay up and be online more reliably than most of our competition. I'd say any of our competition, actually. And then we do constant and online backups so that if you do suffer an issue, or if something happens, or if you delete a piece of content that you didn't mean to, we can go back to the backup and reinstate your website and keep you back up and running. It's operating with a safety net, and it's the smart thing to do. All of that is included along with 3 hours of service and support of our team, which are real human beings based right here in the Midwest, to get you off and fixed and up and rolling as soon as possible if you do have issues. So working with Bizzy Hosting is a great way to do that. We also and now have a brand new suite of tools to help you with online marketing. It's called Buzz Builders. Those who have been with us for a long time may remember that the BizzyWebinar used to be called the Buzz Builders webinar. We've now taken over Buzz Builders for actual online marketing content. We help you generate leads, deepen relationships with your customers, grow your branding, or increase your search engine results and optimization. And so depending on that, we have different things that we do, including online marketing, social media, email marketing using Constant Contact, and doing all kinds of other content-related information and details. And those are available in monthly subscriptions if you'd like to connect up and grow your business more proactively. The Buzz Builders program is for you. Join us every Wednesday, because we do have our BizzyWebinars every Wednesday. Next week, we're going to talk about our web design process, what goes into building a website. This is going to be getting into the heads of our developers. Andy Wojtowski on our team is brilliant and a wonderful fella, and he's going to actually be talking through his process of building a website. And then the day after that, next Thursday, we're actually having a special in-person event with Constant Contact called 60 Ways to Grow Your List. We actually had one of these last week, and it was very well received by the attendees. You're going to have 60 ways to grow your business, to grow the intended audiences, and to reach people that you've never reached before in your online marketing. So if you're looking for new ways to grow your list and get back to business on a strong case now that we're all back to school, 60 Ways to Grow Your List next Thursday is going to be perfect for that. For all of these events, go to BizzyWeb.com/events to register or to watch those events live once we get those going. The 60 Ways to Grow Your List is an in-person event that we need you here for. So for those folks in the Twin Cities area of Minneapolis and St. Paul, register away. But anyone's welcome to attend the BizzyWebinar, which is happening next week and every Wednesday from noon to 1. And so please do register up and connect with us there. Finally, if you want more information about how you can grow your business, check out our Buzz report. If you go to BizzyWeb.com/buzz, we will actually run a report for you that'll outline what you're doing well and where you can grow in all of your online marketing. We'll talk about your website. We'll talk about your search engine optimization and how well you're ranking on search engines. We'll talk about your social media, your local page results, and everything else that we think that you could use to take your business to the next level. This is a service that we offer for free, and that's because we believe in helping our clients and customers generate buzz without getting stung. We'll help you grow it, and you can work with us, or you can take it to whoever you're currently already working with, and then tell them that they need to partner with us to help you grow your business. We'd love to talk to you about that if you have a question. Otherwise, this is your last chance to either go in and log into the BizzyWebinar today with us on the Google Hangout. We're going to close down the broadcast at this time, but if you do have those questions, we'll be taking them. You can also email us in, and we'll take your question as a one-off item. Thanks very much for joining us. Remember, next Wednesday, we're going to be covering the development process of websites, and next Thursday, we're covering 60 ways to grow your list, getting back to business with Constant Contact. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'm Dave Meyer, again reminding you that at BizzyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Have a great week.